listening to the Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the Questionnaires.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The Questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
Excuse me. Got the right time? Yeah, I got the right time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the Questionnaire. I am the Unknown Factor, a.k.a. that Wade Wilson of hip-hop. But as per usual, you know, we ain't talking hip-hop. This is a quest. We talk comics. We talk nerdy things. We talk comics. Sometimes we play D&D. That's what we do, right? But we ain't doing D&D today. I actually got to get to that and get some editing, but that's besides the point because there's some stuff coming up. And, you know, Season 2 is coming to an end, which is crazy to me, man, and I hope you all keep an eye out. We got 3 PanCons that are going to wrap up Season 2, and this is going to be the second to last quest, maybe third to last quest. It depends on if I get that done, but that's neither here nor there, right? It's either the second or third to last quest in Season 2, and then 3 PanCons. It'll probably be the third to last quest, right? That'll be perfect. Third to last quest with 3 PanCons, yeah, we'll hustle that out, and then there'll be 1 episode of D&D, right? But for today, yeah, you know, we try and keep a co-host. It don't always work. We try to keep a dope co-host, though, man, because we got so many. But today, yeah, someone who made that pretty picture of me that you see on the intro. Yeah, Chrissy Wiseman in the house.
Hi.
How goes it, Chrissy?
It's going okay.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I didn't realize, right? But this is the second time we've had somebody of this persuasion on, right? As far as someone that does cosplay. And you co-hosted them both.
Yes, I did.
Like, that's intriguing. But I think it's funny that when we spoke of a particular comic that was getting ready to come out from DC, and then I said that we had this particular, you were like, I want to discuss that particular comic. So right off the bat, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I want you to get into that upcoming smelly comic with the lovely Queen Harlewn. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Chrissy, just dive into it because I want her opinion, and you're the one that brought it up, so I'm not going to be the one that brings it up because it's hilarious. And Harlan, I really want your opinion of this comic.
All right.
Have you heard of the April Fool's issue that they have coming up?
Oh my God, that fetish shit. Okay, I want one, but I don't even want to smell it. I think that it's disrespectful to her. She's too good for that.
I know, I agree. I do think it's a hilarious premise, though, because it's not the first time that there's been a comic book that's been Scratch and Sniff. I'm pretty sure that they've had it was a Ren and Stimpy one. There's been quite a few, I think. It's a funny gimmick.
There have been.
Somebody in it had that. So, but I gotta, Harlan, you said it's disrespectful?
I think so. I think that Harley's too good for fetish shit.
I agree.
You think that's a fetish thing?
Oh,
I do. 100%.
Don't even want to get into it because this is supposed to be family friendly. So let's not go there.
I just
You
my
started.
look, but I didn't think it would go to fetish because I didn't like. What's the smell that's supposed to be on this comic?
I don't know what they're gonna make this. It would be funny if they made it like roses and shit.
I never would have related that to fetish, I think, more than anything else. And that's intriguing, like, because I could imagine, like, just with the character of Harley Quinn, I think you could play that off, like the same way you could play it off of Deadpool. You know what I mean? They're kind of crazy.
Oh, you
So
poor sweet summer child. You just don't get it.
I guess I get it. I just I don't know how to, like, because it's based on, it's kind of similar to a conversation that Shiro and I were having last night. It's that whole thing, especially with you saying that, Harlem, that it could be fetish. It's like the fact that there are a lot of comics out there that sell for one particular reason. And it's because, ooh, look at these. You know what I mean? And That's fine. Whatever. If that's what you want to buy, I've got no problem with it. I can't say that, especially at a younger age, I didn't buy stories like that, but it was the ones that had that and that also had great stories that really kept my interest. And things that I brought up in that regard were like Fathom and the Witchblade. You know what I mean? Things that had characters, as far as female characters, that were very, very sexual, but the stories in those books were phenomenal. You know? Um, so yeah, I don't know like why I didn't expect to just I like now my brain is frazzled because I'm like sitting here like, how is that fetish? I don't understand. My brain cannot. And then you're like, sweet summer child. Are y'all just saying I'm too innocent?
A little bit.
I think so. It's good to not have your mind in the gutter. I
It is.
apologize.
You should hear some of the music I've made, Harlan. It's kind of gutterish.
Yeah, there's just a lot of freaks out there who are gonna look at this comic as a little too interesting.
I think so.
All right. All right. Well, moving
That's
on.
something I'm into. Just so you know.
Moving. That's fair. Moving on from that. Whatever. I hope. Look, enjoy the comic for the story for everyone out there. I want to let you know that that's the most important part is the art and the story contained within. If those aren't the things, in my opinion, that you're mainly focused on in the comic, like why are you getting the comic? But that's just my that's again just my thought, right? So let's get to the fact of Harlan. I want to know what specifically got you so enamored with Harley Quinn specifically.
I've always loved Harley Quinn because I find that she's a strong character, but she's this interesting layered balance of a lot of different things. She has vulnerability, she has heart, she's the anti-hero, she's been abused, she's been victimized, she's come out on top. I just think that she's this relatable mix that everyone can see a part of themselves in, and I've just always been fascinated with her. She's a very intelligent, obviously she's a psychologist. I've just loved so many different aspects of her and how it's rolled into one. I think she's one of the most well-rounded characters.
What do you think? I have to ask this. Why do you think people looking like, because there's one thing I've never understood about pop culture looking at Harley Quinn, and I mean this more from I think people that aren't really, really into comics, it's the level above that where they're like, oh, I want a Joker Harley relationship, you know? Okay, exactly. Like, why would you? I always so let me ask you this: do you think there's somebody because she's currently in a is she still in a relationship with Poison Ivy?
In the animated universe, she is, and
Okay,
in some comic universes, she is. Current comic universe, she is.
it depends on which one you're talking about. I don't even know if they've introduced her in Absolute yet, have they?
No,
Okay.
no, right? No.
Yeah, well, I'm not reading. I'm only reading Absolute Superman. I'll be real honest. So I'm not sure what they've all introduced in the Absolute Batman stories. Are you reading Absolute Batman, Chrissy?
No.
Okay.
I
would.
have all of the Absolute Batmans, but I haven't delved in yet.
Why?
Time. That's it. Time. I wish I had more time.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how being a creative makes it to where you don't have the time to get into things that are created by others?
Absolutely. I still get my weekly pulls. I have tons of them. I just haven't had time to read all of them.
Well, so what do you when you get your weekly pools, short of Harley Quinn, like short of the books with Harley Quinn, because I'm gonna assume those are the ones you go to read first, right? Okay. What's your next like have to read? Is there something beyond that where like that's coming out right now that you're like, ooh, I gotta.
Well, Poison Ivy, I feel, is actually the best written. I really like the newest Poison Ivy arcs for like the past year. So they're actually probably my favorite. Although, like, I love Harley Quinn, but there's been a lot of different arcs and a lot of different creative teams. I love Stephanie Phillips' run on Harley Quinn. I I've loved all of the different.
I made a quick chop.
Oh, okay. From which point? Sorry. From so Amanda Connor is my favorite Harley Quinn artist that I miss, but I loved the Harley Quinn arc by Stephanie Phillips. I've loved a lot of different Harley Quinn arcs that have gone on. There's been so many different creative teams, but probably my favorite for story reading right now is still Poison Ivy.
Is there someone that you would like to see get a chance to write Harley Quinn?
I think the creative team for Poison Ivy would be great at it, and they do incorporate Harley Quinn into their stories right now. But I just really love that, deeper type writing where it's a nice, thick, rich story. I think that recently they've made Harley Quinn a little bit funny again, where I like to see her more in the depth of her character.
And it's funny. I always have, and I'll be honest, I've never really read a lot of DC period. I was always more of a Marvel and then / other guy, which I think is kind of typical in comics. When you start out in comics, most people go either Marvel or DC. That's just, to be honest, that's just kind of how it happens. And at a young age, I was very much more Marvel than anything else. But the more that I've learned throughout about Harley, there's this part of me that's like, I feel like there's a lot of Deadpool in her. And similarities, I mean. You know what I mean? Like, between those two characters, as far as they're both broken, they're both anti-heroes, they're both just trying to do good. I think it's, and it amazes me how similar those two characters are, as far as just within that, except, well, Harley's probably way smarter than Deadpool, I'm going to be real.
Yeah.
Well, in one of the universes that Amanda Connor created, Harley Quinn meets Red Tool, which is sort of a parallel universe of Deadpool. He looks very similar. He acts very similar. And I always wanted to see where that goes. I can't remember what issue it was that he was introduced, but I think it was around Amanda Connor's run of 26, 27. And it was a really interesting character. I don't know what happened to Red Tool. He just disappeared.
It is really funny, though, because Deadpool's actually a ripoff of Wade Wilson.
Slade Wilson.
Slade Wilson. So it's Wade Wilson in Deadpool, and then it's Slade Wilson who is...
Deathstrike. No, Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Also, yeah.
I did not know that, yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it's like
Slade.
Marvel and DC for a while were like doing this whole thing where they were ripping each other's characters off, but they weren't being so subtle about it. Like, you've got like Elastic Man, and you have Mr. Fantastic, and you have Plastic Man. It's like you have
Yeah, for sure.
all these different characters that are almost like, you ripped that off.
So, what got you to the point, Harlan, that you decided, like, because you clearly had a love for this character before you started dressing and doing the cosplay, right?
Yes.
What
Yes,
made you? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, it's just my collection. I have a large Harley Quinn collection that began with comics and then, grew to Funkos and all different sorts of collectibles. And so now I'm being swallowed by collectibles.
That's really easy to do in this day and age. Because I could, especially if you get into the statues and stuff. I mean, I know even at Mage's Comics and Games, which is my local shop, I've seen some phenomenal Harley pieces. And man, they can get, you can get into them $200, $300, $400, $500 statues, and they're all nice. But man, so yeah, I can.
Do you
definitely...
have a copy of her first comic book appearance?
I do. I could make a wall with my long boxes of comics. It's unbelievable how much space collectibles and comics can take up.
Oh, I know. I have a ton myself. Yeah, I have a copy of issue 12 of the Batman animated series comics. I have that one, which is
amazing.
Really, yeah.
So
wow.
Were you introduced to Harley Quinn through the cartoon or through the comics?
My very first introduction to Harley Quinn was animated series, and then comics, and then I can say movie, I guess, what they did with her on film, where they really changed who she was. I found that interesting as well. There's value to all of the different Harley verses, I think.
Ooh, you brought up movie.
Did you watch the anime series that they just recently came out with, the Isekai one?
Yes, and I've cosplayed her twice. I do like her. You know, she's different. It's a different look, and anime is so hot everywhere. It was kind of a great gateway for me to be able to find a way to go to anime conventions and still be Harley. So I did that at Anime North, which is our largest anime convention here, and I did it again at Fan Expo, and I upgraded my boots a little bit and did Fan Expo. The only thing was a lot of people weren't familiar with that version yet.
Yeah.
But now she's becoming a little more popular and mainstream, and now there's a Funko of her. So once you're a Funko, you're in.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fact. But wait, no, that's not the animated series. There's an anime?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh.
Isekai.
Yeah, it's just an Isekai. And if you don't know what an Isekai is, it's basically where you get pulled out of the regular world and put into a fantasy world. So a bunch of the DC characters, it's the Suicide Squad, but they get Isekai'd. So they get pulled into some sort of fantasy realm, and it's really funny.
Oh, I know
Chrissy's
that's
like
my
a dictionary.
Well, no, that's my
Around.
that's my character in the D&D game we play. I'm from this earth, that I'm just like in this D&D play, and I will say it comes with some like funny things, because it's like I'm just me, but suddenly I have magic, so it's like, and I don't like really understand how this works, so I do incredibly dumb things, man. But I want to know.
So you're basically playing an Isekai character in a D&D world. That's hilarious.
I blow things up on accident sometimes, you know. I very much have a Deadpool Harley Quinn-esque thoughts in this magic that I don't know how to use. But going back to the film and the television, like you said, there's been a lot of iterations, and I noticed the new Joker film you said you weren't a fan of. I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep, and then I kind of went back and just watched the end, and I was like, oh well, all right, whatever, you know. Like, I was basically my opinion of the sequel to the Joker. I thought the Joker was good, but with that, I mean, there's the animated series, there's the anime you guys just brought up that I honestly was completely unaware of. There's been the times that she's been in the DC animated movies, as well as Suicide Squad, and then Birds of Prey was the same iteration as what's in Suicide Squad. I had to think about that for a moment. I'm curious, what portrayal do you think was the most accurate representation of the Harley Quinn that originally came from the animated series?
From the original animated series, probably they were following the line most in the first Suicide Squad. They certainly made her look different, and they made her more provocative and all that stuff. But the storyline of psychologist, love story, gone mad, I guess that would be your Mad Love. But for portrayal of her, I think the best portrayal was Birds of Prey.
I need like thoughts. Why? What made that one stand out to you more than anything else, with all the times she's been portrayed? Because I'll be honest, like, I always like what is it? I like the way they portrayed her in the Dark Justice League films that were animated. I thought that was phenomenal. Like, where she's fighting Lois Lane. I now, mind you, I think, like, I love the DC animated universe. I think it's just phenomenal, and I'm a John Constantine fan, so that Dark Justice League gets me on that one. But, you know, I like how they brought her in on that, to where she literally fought Lois Lane, and then Lois Lane gets her, and she's like, all right, come on, you know.
I did like the Justice League Dark, and I liked her different look in it as well. I've enjoyed almost everything she's been in. I wasn't crazy about her portrayal in Batman Ninja, but Batman Ninja 2 is coming out, so we'll see what happens. She looks like Sailor Moon in this, a little bit weird, but they have to jump on the anime because anime is so hot, right? So it'll be another anime look for me, maybe.
What was your thoughts of her in the second Joker film? Or do you think that was even really supposed to be Harley Quinn, because the way that Joker film was played, it was that said that ostensibly that he wasn't really the Joker, he was the inspiration for the Joker, as far as I can't remember the character's name, and that's going to drive me nuts.
Yes.
Arthur Fleck. There you go.
Well, in that universe, she was a version of Harley Quinn, obviously, and part of me would like to have seen where that character was going to go after the last scene, but the whole thing really didn't interest me very much. I don't love musicals, but I would say that probably the soundtrack is the best part of the movie. I don't know. I wasn't that crazy about any of the characters, but a little part of me would like to see where her character was going to go. I would like to see. I don't care for a second film, so or third actually, because that was the second film. I think after the first Joker, they really didn't need a sequel, but I don't love Lady Gaga too, so.
I was kind of like, I was surprised they picked Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn a little bit. You know, like it seemed like a little bit of an odd choice. I know they did it mainly because it was a musical. You know, so I mean, they got somebody that clearly had that whole musical background that can do that, and it's fine. I understand. But I would agree with you in the fact that I don't think that Joker film needed a sequel, and really, if you think about it, if they make another Joker film, what they ostensibly have to play, what the guy that stabbed the crap out of Arthur at the end of it, and he becomes the Joker, is that what they would do? I mean, that would be odd. I feel. Yeah, no. I don't know. That would be very, very odd. But what's besides Harley Quinn, do you have what's your other favorite cosplay? Because I know you cosplay more than just Harley Quinn, right?
And that's just recently. I've recently started introducing a few more cosplays into life because sometimes goth clowncore makeup doesn't work after the con. And so sometimes I thought it would be easier to not always be all painted white and go through all of the heavy Harley makeup, which I love, unless I'm guesting. If I'm going to a show and I'm not guesting, I thought, you know what, sometimes it's nice to have a little something lighter on. As well, I work in a lot of gaming and I love gaming. And so another one of my favorites is Princess Peach, which I've recently introduced. I'd like to do some more variations of Princess Peach. I've done some variants of Sailor Moon, but usually kind of roped a bit of Harley into it. And Princess Peach, I think, will be one that runs through my Harley verse sometimes.
Oh, see.
But Harley is my main.
I like that idea, though. As far as
I think that you would make a killer dark lady from Sailor Moon.
Oh. Well, I will keep that in mind.
I just like the idea of taking and you could ostensibly cosplay as pretty much anybody and then put Harley on top of it and make an amalgamation of it.
I do. I continuously cosplay different iterations of Harley, and I do a lot of crossovers as well. So whether it's Harley this way, that way, or a crossover, I think it's a lot of fun. One that I would like to do but haven't had time to ever build yet is a Harley Jinx from Arcane.
All right,
I can see that.
I want to see take it crazy though. Make a Harley Quinn Pikachu.
A Harley Quinn Pikachu. Well, I don't know. That's so hot and sexy that I know someone will want me to guest in that. I think that's definitely that's definitely a good one.
Yeah. I mean, take it. That's just where my brain goes. It's also I really got my boy heavily into Pokemon, here recently. So I've been running through Pokemon's been a thing. But you build your own that's one thing of cosplay that's always interests me is the designing and building aspect. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't think of because I've seen. I think one of the craziest cosplays I've ever seen was somebody built a Juggernaut to where when he got in it, he was the size of the Juggernaut because of everything he'd built and how he designed it. Have there ever been something you ever have ideas pop in your head and go, oh, that'd be awesome. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Well, I think the beauty of cosplay is how it's so inclusive. Anything is cosplay, whether you buy it, make it, thrift it, anything can be cosplay, and that's what's so wonderful about it. But I love the art form of it. I love foam smithing. I very rarely have time for it, but I love working with EVA foam as a build medium. You would, either make your own pattern or you can download a pattern. And then once you have your pattern constructed, my actual favorite part of it is the finishing. I enjoy the painting and the staining, the aging, the weathering of it. I love looking at like the finished piece. And some people like to, build with 3D printing. That's amazing too, whether you purchase their patterns or design your own patterns. There's so many things. Or you can use thrifted materials such as, cardboard, paper, anything. So it's awesome that it's so inclusive for anyone to be able to look at something and say, I want to have this prop, or I want to, emanate this character. And I just think it's a beautiful hobby because it really is something that anyone can do.
Have you tried using Worbla at all?
Only for a little mask once. It's just such an expensive medium to use.
Yes.
That if you can put it on the outside of something, like say if you want to make goggles or something, you might make and then sort of wrap them in Worbla, because here it's quite expensive, and so if you go wrong with it, then it's something that it's almost like cricket fabric. Like if you go wrong, then you're out the money. But I've used it once and it was for an eye mask.
Okay, I'm gonna assume that everyone watching does Worbla. What is Worbla?
It's a craft foam clay that you can mold and shape.
Just wondered, so everybody watching, if somebody didn't know what the heck y'all were talking about, because I didn't know what the heck y'all were talking about, they'd be like, "Oh, okay." And that's the amazing thing, because literally, like you said, you can use anything for cosplay. From, like you said,
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the most amazing example? Because you also book cosplayers, which I think is phenomenal. But when you book somebody and they brought something, have there been examples where you're like, what'd you make that out of? When they told you, your brain went, what?
Wow. That's a tough one, because there's typical fabrics and fibers that people usually use. I've seen a lot of outstanding creations, but most of them have been made with either thermoplastic or EVA foam.
Thermoplastic?
Like Worbla, different types of thermoplastics that you can heat and shape.
Okay. What do you think caused the explosion of cosplay? Because I remember back when I was going to cons, and I'm going to really date myself here, but Wizard World, back in 98 and 2000, when Wizard World was a thing, because Wizard was a big enough magazine, they could hold their own convention. That doesn't happen anymore. Y'all probably don't. I got Wizard magazines back here, but y'all probably, half the people watching, if they're younger, they're like, what's a Wizard magazine? They used to tell you what comics were worth, man. But cosplayers were not near as common. You would see a couple people cosplay, but then I go to PopCon last year, and you see so many people. What do you think was the main thing that made it to where it blew up? To where it was yes, and so many people were jumped in on it to the level that they did.
To me, I think that it's mainstream movies.
Really?
Well, basically, she's right. With the explosion of the medium of comics being translated to film, which it goes out to a broader audience, because most people will go to movies, then those people get interested in those characters, when usually it was just the niche comic book readers who cared about those characters. So those were the ones that were going to the conventions at first. Now you have fans of the movies who don't even read the comics going to movies, and then they see people in their costumes and they're like, I want to do that.
You're absolutely right.
So the fact that people got paid millions of dollars to dress up as superheroes got more people to be like, dude, that looks awesome. I'm gonna do it, is what you're telling me. That's
Kind of in a roundabout way, yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was. That's what you just said. I just said it in a different way,
No,
Chrissy.
I'm
And I've heard,
saying the fans of the movies then start getting interested
yeah,
in going to the conventions, and then they see cosplayers, and then they decide they want to cosplay
yeah.
too.
And no, I think that's awesome. I do. I think that's phenomenal because it allows people to, like you said, Harlan, it allows them to embrace something that I don't think they would otherwise. Like I think it's a very interesting art as far as to go in and to do something like that. Um, I just it amazes me, and I think the thing, like, look, I love to do cosplay. The main thing that like keeps me from it is I don't have the time to. And if somebody wants to build me a really cool Deadpool costume, I'm down. But 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 just the time you put it. What's the time frame you typically put as far as per cos? Like, how many Harley costumes have you done? First off, because
Oh
you
my God. I wouldn't be able to count them. I have absolutely no idea, but they're all different levels. Like some are store bought, some are ordered online, some are built, some are sewn, some are thrifted. So it's not that I have a certain time allowance for a piece. Like a shoulder piece I made once probably took about a month because of the time I was putting into it. Because you don't really just start with any hobby, you don't start it and finish it in the same day. You go at it when you can. So it's sort of hard to put a time frame.
It's kind of like you editing your videos.
Look, I don't want to hear about it, Chrissy. All right, I already got, like, I'm waiting for Hannibal to be like, dude, is that episode or is that D&D session we did ever gonna come out? And look, Hannibal, I love you. I'm working on it. Right? It's just a thing. Life be life, and sometimes. And what do you do as far as balancing that? Because I mean, a month to make one prop. What was that prop?
She said a shoulder piece.
Well, I know that, but I wanted
Yeah.
more intricate details.
A spiky shoulder piece for Harley Elseworld.
Oh, okay. A month,
And I,
man.
yeah, probably about a month. And I wore it to a game expo probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And yeah, it was for that Elseworld Harley. And I remember I had a big long chain around my neck down to the ground with it.
Do you? I mean, anytime you're making a cosplay like that, do you think like you're only going to use this once, or is it something that you're like, oh, like, has there ever been something where you like that was a one time, or sometimes, or do you make sure you save it and don't use it, or there's something you just want to use like three times back and back?
I've almost always worn something different. And I think that that's where my closet has grown so much because some basic pieces I'd wear again. Like I've used my Derby Harley pads and helmet. They took me a while. I've used them often, but with different types of derby looks. So something like that or a helmet I'll use again. But I usually try to cosplay something different every time, not only because it's fun, but because I've already been photographed in it and I want to have something, fresh for myself and fresh for my page and fresh for people to see. And I like that. That's kind of the fun of it. So if you build something and you've taken a really long time with it, I get you want to wear it many times because it took you 2 years to make it. And if it's something that's a little, lighter, like a Harley dress or something, maybe I'll bring it back in another time, but I wouldn't wear it again back to back.
Okay, yeah, because if you were taking, look, if I took a month building something and I only used it once, my brain would constantly be like, I need to use that again. I need to use that again. I need to use that again. Like, I should wait a month to use it again, but I totally need to use that again because it took me a month to build the thing. All right.
For props, for sure. People with like a couple of mallets that I have, I'll use them again and sometimes often because it's a mallet. You're not going to build a whole bunch of them unless you're going to do a lot of different colors. I've done a couple. If you just need a mallet, you're going to take that same one you built. But for actual cosplay costumes, that I've built or sewn, that's when I try to switch it up.
How many mallets do you have?
I don't know. I have a lot of bats as well. So 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Probably just under 20.
I love dude, Chrissy. I love the amount of thought she had to put in that. You notice that? That was phenomenal. Oh my gosh.
Have
That
you
was,
ever sold any of your creations to make extra money to get more materials?
I haven't, but I do have some vendor items that I sell at different shows. If I'm guesting, I often set up and then sell some things, but usually it's old cosplays or items that I've thrifted for myself for cosplay and maybe decided they don't work for it or don't work for me. So I sell a lot of clothing. I also have some stuff on Etsy that's just like funny cosplay saying t-shirts that I've made. So I'll sell those to get some different money and for cosplays. So it's fun, whatever you can put back into it, but I've never made a prop and tried to sell it.
Now, do you do photo shoots where you get photos that you then sign and sell?
Yes.
and look,
I
for
do,
everybody,
yes. Sorry, no answer after that. Yes, I saw those sometimes at shows. Sometimes people want them signed, and sometimes you just sell a few online. I don't do a whole lot of that, but I do sometimes. Depends which show.
and
Cool.
for anybody that wants to find anything from Harlan, I want to let you know there's a link in the description. You can go bug her about anything. You may even be able to be like, look, just sell me a mallet. Just sell me a mallet. Just sell me a mallet. She's probably not going to sell you a mallet because if the zombie apocalypse ever kicks off, apparently that's really what she wants for a weapon. But real quick, what I want you all to do is listen to this quick word from our sponsor, Studio Comics. Find out how you can get 20% off an order from them for some dope comics. Get you some Harley Quinn. We'll be right back. I like to think I segue fairly well. All right. I hope. All right. Hey, we're back. Yeah. Got Queen Harlewn with us. Chrissy Wiseman co-hosting. We're going to get into a few more things, man. We're going to, like, but I do just have to dig into, like a mallet for a zombie apocalypse. Like, I need specifics on the mallet that you would want, Harlewn. Like, because I feel like if you got a 20-pound mallet and you're trying to use that in a zombie apocalypse, that's a bad zombie apocalypse weapon.
I guess a mallet that when it makes contact, it heats up and ignites zombies. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but I think definitely, yeah, one that sort of shoots fire when it makes contact.
I figured you'd just be doing the whole Gallagher thing on their head like a watermelon.
Good idea.
So you're trying to cause a flaming walking horde. Okay.
That's
So
the idea.
yeah, you would literally be an agent of chaos, like for real in a zombie apocalypse, Harlan. You realize that because then you're like, if you do that to the start of a horde and then you just run away, now you've caused like 1,000, 10,000, however many zombies were in that particular horde to just be walking around, slowly dropping off, but they're on fire.
Maybe not my best plan.
I mean, as long as you get away. But I'm just saying, you'll burn cities down like that. You know what I mean? This is zombie apocalypse. There is no fire department. You will definitely live the Harley Quinn lifestyle in the zombie apocalypse. That's all I know to say to that. Like, just she's a freaking paid agent of Kelly. What the crap? I don't even know. I can't decide if that's one of the best or one of the worst answers I've had to that question based on the addendum
I
you
think
had.
it might be the worst. Probably the worst.
No. The worst was like a pair of size. All right, because you really want to be using a pair of size to fight zombie. No, actually, I take that back. Salt was the worst because someone answered salt in a zombie apocalypse, and I'm like, trying to flavor the zombies? What's going on here? You know, apparently he just wanted to die. sometimes that's what happens, right? So going through, like, let's go back to this. So you also book cosplayers for events, right? How do you go through that process? Because I assume, like, do you have a lot of people hitting you up? And when you limit, like, what do you do to make sure you're picking the best cosplayers? That's because I know we've got a couple people over here. They've currently been booking a convention, and I mean they're weighing who they're going to bring on, but that's, creators and such, as well as a couple other individuals as far as they do film and television. But booking cosplayers like that, how did you figure out who to bring in? Because I mean, you do want to bring in people that are going to bring in people. So, like, how do you weigh that?
With Toronto Game Expo and other shows like BonCon that I work with, you always receive a lot of applications, but to me, I think the most important thing is representation and inclusion. And I mentioned inclusion earlier, and it's just also really important to have representation for diversity, for everything. It's important that you don't just choose what is the flashiest cosplay, what is the person with the most followers. It's important that it has the heart of why we came into cosplay. The inclusion, the community, being able to feel like you're a part of something no matter what type of cosplayer you are. And so for me, that's what's most important, not what is the biggest build. You need some of that for sure. You need to be able to let people represent how much and how long they've worked on their different art. And that's an amazing place too. But I think, yes, just definitely diversity, representation, inclusion.
The biggest build. What's the biggest build you've ever booked?
I think it was a cosplayer who was it was a gaming type of cosplay. I can't recall exactly what it was. She had very large wings.
Why ain't you made wings yet for yourself, Chrissy?
Time.
Where's my art?
Time.
What is your biggest, besides time, what do you find is the biggest difficulty in managing all of this, Harleen? Because I assume that is one of, if not the biggest, as far as just time to be able to put everything together.
So your question is, what are the other obstacles?
Like, what is the
in a
other
cosplay?
biggest? Yeah, what is the other biggest obstacle within being able to do this to the capacity that you want?
Well, time definitely is one of them. Sometimes there's an overlap in schedules. There's travel always comes into play. It has to be, sometimes you may want to do something, but it's very far away, or there's, differences in the schedules with one place you'd like to be and another place you'd like to be that's too close together. I've experienced that before. I'm like, can I make it back to Toronto from this one that was up north? And so sometimes there's that, because weekends are weekends, and that's when shows are. There's something similar is happening in May, where there's two that I'd like to be at the same day, because that's a Saturday. So sometimes overlapping schedules, I guess, would best answer your question.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. And look, I get that, especially as far as the distance, because you said the first time that you did cosplay was at Fan Expo. Rob runs Fan Expo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had to double.
CK Expo?
Yeah, I know that's CK Expo Rob runs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not Fan Expo. Sorry, I'm thinking of. Yeah, Rob's a friend of the show, Robert Blaney. I don't know if you know him. Right?
Chatham.
Huh?
The Chatham convention. I'm a media guest this year.
Oh, it's CK Expo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, tell Rob I said what's up. That's one of them conventions.
End of April.
Yeah, that's one of those conventions I'd love to get to, because it's like I don't know if you know, but if you go back through the show, for some reason I've had a lot of, as somebody that's based in the U.S. in Indiana, for some reason I ended up with a lot of Canadians on the show. I'm not complaining. I just think it's kind of odd. You know what I mean? Like I love it. Everyone I've had on from up there has been a pleasure. I can't say that there's a single Canadian that's been on
I
the
might.
show. Yeah. What? Well, yeah, you're one. She's Chrissy over here. She's one of the few Americans that somehow got on the questionnaire. I don't know how it happened.
I might be going to CK Expo though. Might.
Amazing. Wow. Well, if you do, let me know.
I'm ending
Okay.
this interview out of jealousy. Not really. Not really. You got any interesting fan stories from expos? Because I've heard a number of different things about cosplayers. Like Dr. Stevel, man, he gave us some interesting stories. I think one of the more interesting things I remember Doc saying, man, was like he'd have people come up and like he'd be in his Dr. Evil get up and they just ostensibly start wanting to do the Austin Powers movie with him. You know, like line for line and not stop. The fact that he's got the script in his head for enough whatever, and I don't know, like it's eventually, because he said he'd eventually get to a point where it's like, well, you know, I'm not just trying to repeat the movie with you. Are you gonna let me do my bit and be entertaining and not just literally regurgitate something that you can go watch on DVD? What interesting stories you got? I know you got some, Harleen. There's got to be some.
For me, it's more so of pet peeves. People taking pictures when they haven't asked. So my most memorable story was probably a couple of years ago at was it Fan Expo or Comic Con? One of them. And I was just digging around in my bag looking for something. And there was some man taking pictures of me doing that. And it really bothered me. And I called him out on it because it's inappropriate. You can't do that on the street. So why can you do that to someone just because they're in cosplay? And so things like that are make up most of my stories.
Yeah, cosplay is not consent.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, no. You should, for everyone out there watching, if you see a cosplayer and you want to take a photo, ask. They're in cosplay. If they say no, there's a very specific reason. They're not just trying to be rude about it. I promise. I will 99% time like guarantee like they'll be like, yeah, because that's a cool moment, I would think. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
And
cool.
usually when you ask,
Yeah.
the cosplayer then will strike their poses, and you get a better photo than if you just creepily snap.
Absolutely. Instead of bent over in their bag.
That's a all right. Like, let me just take pictures of you rifling in your purse. That's I don't know. I don't get that, man. So yeah, for everyone out there, look, like if you see a cosplayer, because I know when we went to PopCon, man, there were several, and I was like, hey, can I get a picture? Can I? Nobody was like, no. Nobody was rude. Nobody like everybody was cool. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man was like, yeah, I'll take a picture with your boy, and like everything. They're good people. Like I'm pretty sure if somebody's dressing up in cosplay, I don't expect them to have a negative attitude because they obviously have enough of a positive outlook to be able to embrace that part. And I think that takes a positive outlook to at least a percentage, because you have to have a certain mindset to do that and a certain outlook of positivity. And what's the word I'm looking for?
You have to have the guts to dress up in public.
Well, not the guts, but yeah, that's valid too, Chrissy. But there's my brain will not. I'm reaching over here for this word right now. Just so. I mean, I guess it is that, but no. Whatever. I can't reach the word that I'm looking for, and but all those were good
You
words.
fumbled it and you dropped it.
I did. My brain went and it shot out the ear of the other side of my head. My bad. If I can figure it out while I'm editing this, I'll literally just have it shoot out the side of my ear, and that'll be kind of funny. You know, I'll forget to edit that bit because I got too much crap to edit, but that's neither here nor there. What do you do when you know you've got a show coming up and you have a set deadline? Do you ever feel the pressure of that? Like, oh crap, I have to get this done.
The con crunch.
Oh, every single show, there's the con crunch. I even made a T-shirt once that I sold that said "con crunch." It's something we all experience, and even if you think that you're ready to go, there's always a con crunch, like chipped paint, or you suddenly realize you need a tiny upgrade, and it really is a passion, but sometimes it doesn't always line up. So I don't know anyone that doesn't con crunch.
You have the passion to go about doing that, so why would you not want to show it off and have people appreciate it? Thank you, Harlan. Why can I not remember such a simple word?
Passion. You're gonna have to edit the word passion flying out his ear.
I'm a passionate individual, Chrissy. What can I say? But that's neither here nor there, right? But yeah. So I mean, I think in that, yeah. But you gotta. What's the most popular shirt that you've ever made?
Cosplay is not consent.
Thank you.
Well, that's. I don't get why people think that someone dressing up as a character allots them to treat the person a different way, because it's still a human being within that cosplay. You know what I mean? I don't. It's very, very, very odd.
The same thing as them harassing actors for the characters that they've played on movies and TV.
Yes.
This is why Bruce Campbell has a film, My Name is Bruce.
Yes, I love that movie.
It's phenomenal. I just watched it recently. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm going to have that little theme song, Gwandi or whatever it was, stuck in my head.
So, in doing all of this, have you ever had to where when you're selecting cosplayers, that your selection caused issues for you? As far as, and when I say that, I mean like, oh, maybe you didn't like people being fickle. I'll put it politely.
That's always something that can come into play. It's difficult as well to not have repeat guests sometimes when, and I've been in that spot as a guest. I'm like, I love this show. I gave this show my heart and soul, and they're not asking me back. And it's because they have to, spread the love. It's only fair when there's so many different people to guest to say, okay, next show, we're going to have a whole new panel, all new guests. And then it's hard if you're somebody who is a guest who goes to shows and shows are saying no because you guested last year. So then you think, where does that leave you? And so for me, I found my fit with working with shows, working behind the scenes with shows, or being a media guest with shows. And I love so many aspects of that too. You are no longer pinned to your table. You can walk around and see your friends and see everything and come and go as you please. And so there's beauty in that too. So I think the solution for people who are feeling fickle, as you said, is to just find your fit in a different area that you love, because we didn't get in it to make it all about ourselves. We got into it because there was a love of something. It's crafting, escapism, community. So find that heart again and just find it in a different area.
I see you make it. Well, I think it's interesting though, because like I would. Let me see. So with cosplay, where do you think it really started? As far as, do you think it? Because I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, Harleen, that cosplay came from comics, and then it expanded to where you've seen it more places. Or am I wrong in that?
I know this because I do a speech, like a one-person panel on cosplay for mental health, and the link between cosplay and gaming and mental health. And so cosplay I actually first considered cosplay, which was costume play from kabuki theater. And then the person who sort of designed costume play and putting that together for Japanese theatrics, then it kind of grew and it became first evident in like the first Comic-Con, which I think was like LA or something. And so it actually came from Kabuki.
Okay. Okay. That's intriguing. I wouldn't, if I wanted to ask, I wouldn't have known that otherwise, because I honestly would have assumed that it just came as something of where people were going to conventions and dressing as their favorite comic book characters. That was my idiotic assumption from just my limited knowledge.
Some of the first cosplayers were actually sci-fi fans. It was people dressing up as Star Trek characters mostly in the beginning.
For sure, when it became like westernized, Star Trek, and then what, Star Wars, and probably later, I don't know, X-Files, whenever that came out.
All I know is I seen this guy that was dressed as a colonial marine, and I was like, dude, that is on point. That's way too much work. And then I was like, can I get a picture? And I did, and then I carried on about my con. but part of my brain sometimes looks at that, and I'm like, oh. I was like, because I mean, he had a pulse rifle too that like you could tell he had made, and I think that's the thing that I find the most intriguing about cosplayers is some of the the props that they make, like the making of the mallets. Like, what are your mallets comprised of?
I typically use different sizes of sonotube and put like any kind of piping. Usually I don't use a wood stick. I'll use sometimes a dowel, but sometimes I'll try to get plastic piping as well, and then cover it with either thick, or if I want a light bark look, really thin EVA foam. And you can make your bark look so different, whether you want the thin
PVC pipe.
Yep,
Yeah.
like shower curtain bark.
You ever had to smack someone with one of those mallets for getting out of line?
I would love to have, but it's my art and I don't want to wreck it.
Yeah, those won't hold up well. Knocking somebody upside the head. Speaking of, have you ever had to deal with any overzealous stalkery fans?
Online, but not in person.
That's good.
Yes,
Don't do that.
I do appreciate being able to block.
It's funny. So you encounter that more online though, so you don't have so much that problem. And I think that's good, and I think that shows that the anonymity of online makes people do things that they wouldn't, and it's just an odd world that we have that has become into existence. You know what I mean in that regard, because it's I don't
People
know.
are so online these days.
Yes, and I did experience one crossover people, because I advertise where I'm going to be, and that's what we do. Is I'm going to be at this con, at this expo, and then you hope that people come there and buy things from you and meet you and so on, and that's sort of the point. So if that person is local and they really do, sometimes it doesn't always go well. Like one person I did block that came to meet me at the show and come and take a picture and say hi. Like, oh, I'm so excited to meet you in person. And then, go message you weird stuff or scary stuff afterwards. And so block, but then you always have to keep in mind, they were local. They know where you are. They can make a fake profile and find you again. A lot of cosplayers, if you're advertising where you are, you don't have a private profile because then no one can find it. So you always have to either, keep that in mind. Like, think, I'm going to leave this con with a friend to my car. So you're in pairs, or let someone know when you're going to certain places, or stay on your phone with someone. Or if you're going to a meetup, always in numbers. It's the best thing to do. It's when people are alone, but typically at cons, they're very large and there's a lot of people and a lot of witnesses. But I do advise, if anything does happen, immediately go tell someone, find someone, remember your facts. What did they look like? What time was it? Because if we all work together, then the community stays safe.
100%.
I just wish people weren't so creepy to where that was necessary, and
You think?
when
That'd be nice.
just when a line is drawn, it's like, okay, well, fine, that line is there. I'm gonna go this way. You have a good day. I'm gonna go about doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna concern myself with it. Um, it's so weird to me that people don't get that. I don't know, but like I said, my life has been real weird for these past 4 months. We ain't getting into all that, man. Like, whatever. Chrissy, ask a question.
I just did.
Well, ask another, because my brain's been befuddled. It was a day to day, and I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just throwing
What's
things.
your favorite cosplay that you've done?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Probably the spiky armor Elseworld or classic, because I do not usually do classic Harley. So when I do, it feels neat to wear like the full cowl.
Doesn't that get hot?
It's more that I can't hear properly.
I wouldn't have expected that problem from that.
Well, the fabric, and when you get music and stuff like that, and then your own hair kind of scratching underneath of it, sometimes it can be a little loud.
Huh. Yeah, that's not... The noise factor would not be something I ever would have thought of with the whole Harley Quinn cowl. Yeah, and because that's a fairly big... Yeah, I would have thought it would have been heat more than anything else as far as I'm concerned with that. And I say that as someone that used to perform with a mask on stage, like doing hip-hop, and like, I know for a fact when and I mean, it was a thin cloth mask, but when I'm on stage and I do a 15-30 minute set and I'm spitting lyrics and everything, and like, well, there were times where I'd go out and it'd be a cool night and I'd take that mask off and my head would start smoking, so yeah, but
Wow.
You
yeah,
have to understand you're also under stage lights though, aren't you?
I mean, yeah, fair
Heat's
enough.
gonna come from the lights as well as the fact that you're performing and you're jumping around.
The heat was more the fact that I was, you know what I mean? There's a reason, like the image that Chrissy took from is literally an image of me on stage, and that's where that image came from, and that's why it's very much as animated as it was, is because I was in the middle of a performance on stage. So it's why it looks like I'm going nuts, because I was going nuts in that moment. You ever doing, speaking of going nuts, I mean, Harley Quinn definitely has some crazy moments. What line, like, do you feel like you have to put a line when you're doing Harley Quinn cosplay? Because obviously you can't go full Harley, because that would include like stabbing people. So Harlan, you can't go full Harley. You can't go, because then you got to like get the police involved, and it just becomes really inconvenient for everybody because there's ambulances and you know. So where do you decide to draw the line when you're doing the Harley Quinn character?
Well, I think that it's good to avoid police, like you mentioned, because it just, it holds up your day, right?
Yeah, for real.
And
Please don't.
not everyone always has bail money ready for me. So what I try to do is just not kill people where people can see. You should always have at least one friend with you to help you hide the body. That's really my only advice.
Do you have any favorite quotes of hers that you use whenever you're cosplaying?
When I'm posting, I often use the one about 6 diameter bullet in you. But I use a lot of her different quotes. When I'm cosplaying, not so much. I find that you take a lot of pictures, and so you're more thinking about the different posing ideas than quotes.
All I know is I just figured out why Harlan has never had any in-person stalkers. She never had any in-person stalkers. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, yeah, I think I figured out the trick and why she only has to. All right, I'm gonna stop incriminating you now.
For sure. Why something happened to a fan now?
Oh God. Then they go back and watch the podcast. She did it. Look, there's proof. She was speaking of it. Who was her friend? I heard it was at CK Expo. We need to talk to that Chrissy Wiseman.
And I would have got away with it too if it weren't for you darn kids on your podcasts.
Kids? I think I'm like the oldest person in this room. I think.
Prove it. How old are you?
41.
I'm older than you.
Oh, whatever. I think we've had that conversation. But look, I deal with a lot of people. Leave me alone. I can't keep track of all this shit. I at least thank Harleen over here for having an easy enough name to pronounce to where it didn't hurt my brain, right? Can I say that, Harleen? I really do. Like, I appreciate that, right? I can't tell you some of the Canadians I've had on this show. I'm like, what is your name, dude? Like, why, right? I'm curious. I want to know another thing though. Let's say you came across the creative team that was writing one of those books, and they were doing Harley Quinn. I'm wondering if that's an instance where you'd be like, sign my mallet, or would you feel like take this mallet?
For sure. That's well, one thing that I will travel for is certain artists that I love. Like I love going to Fan Expo and getting like my comics signed. That's something in life that I do and I plan things around. I'll go very far for signings. As for a mallet, I would, or maybe like I've also done like 3D pop guns for bombshells and stuff like that. I would do that, but it's a better value to get it signed, and I just prefer to get the comic signed, depending on what comic it is. I prefer to get the comic signed and then be able to get sometimes multiple signatures is something I'm after as well. Like, do I have the writer? Do I have the artist? Do I have the variant artist? And so on.
I love that you got into this from such a love of Harley Quinn. So what's your Marvel character? Do you have a favorite Marvel character?
I guess the whole Deadpool. I jumped on the whole Deadpool Wolverine as well. I did a Harley Deadpool crossover. So I guess if I had to pick a universe, it would sort of be them and maybe like the X-Men universe.
I didn't, because look, I've seen a number of things on your Instagram profile, Harlan. I did not see the Deadpool Harley Quinn, and I need to see this.
It was last July when I worked alongside one of the co-writers for Deadpool comics, and I was at a show called Cottage Country Con, and Fabian was there, and it was neat.
I love Fabian. I want to point out he's been on the show a couple different times. We need to get him on a PanCon in season 3 at some point. He is a phenomenal individual. You can go check out his past quests as well. He's been on a couple times. Like I said, I'm literally in the middle of his book Suburban Dicks as well, which has been phenomenal. Look, Fabian, I'm finally getting to your book, dude. I'm like halfway through and I'm really enjoying it. Just so you know, if you hear this, I've had that book for a while. I've had that book since like he was on like the first time. So, and that was wow, okay, you know. But sometimes it's that whole thing of trying to get to entertainment as an entertainer, but it's been really good. So, and yeah, Fabian is a great guy. What was that? Had to be. What did he think of that?
Sorry?
What did he think of the Harley Quinn Deadpool crossover?
He didn't mention anything about it, but we talked a little bit about the comics and took some pictures, and there were a lot of voice actors there as well, and so it was fun. We didn't really get to talking about the crossover. I don't know if he was pro or con crossovers.
I see, and I think with what you're doing, I think that's an interesting upsell of that, because Harley Quinn is a very, very popular character to the point where I know certain people that are like, I'm sick of Harley Quinn, and I'm like, why? It's a good character, but whatever. But the fact that you can take it and cross it over, really, can I say, I just want to see a Harley Quinn Pikachu now. Can you do that for me? I want to see one.
Maybe was it Orion, Inteleon? What's the gray and yellow one? I
just got my boy into Pokemon like right around 3.5 months ago, and in doing that, he like seen something. I don't even remember what he initially seen now. And he's like, "Oh, but Dad, that looks really cool." And I was like, "Oh yeah, buddy. Well, here, let me show you this." And I started showing him the original Pokemon series, and then we got into the cards, and then I went up to Mages, and he's like, "Yeah, there's over 1,000 Pokemon now." And I was like, "Shut up, shut up.
Yes.
What do you mean there's over 1,000 Pokemon? Why? Why are there over 1,000 Pokemon? That is excessive. I do not need this in, like, my brain can, what? No. So I don't know. I could, if it's within the first 150, we could talk about it. But once you start getting beyond that, my brain, I know some of them that have been added since it was 151. You got to count Mewtwo. But yeah, why are there over 1,000 Pokemon?
Wow.
Because every time they make a new game, they make new Pokemon.
I
like Snorlax, but if I had to be a Pokemon, I'd probably be Glaceon or Leafeon. But I don't know my Pokemon that well.
Look, a Snorlax Harley would be pretty funny though.
I will work on it. I have like a little Pikachu outfit that was an old cosplay that I don't even think I wore. I think I used it for pajamas once. And maybe I will dye it and paint it and let you know.
I mean, I think honestly it would go really well because then you have there's the aspect of the children with like the Pikachu as well as you have the Harley mixed in with it, you know what I mean? Like do you think about that when you're going into cosplay as far as you're going as Harley Quinn, so there's fans that are gonna like it for that. But do you ever think about, well, if I take and I mix this in, then that would also get in this fan base to where it would garner to where, you would have more people coming up and talking to you and your table and such. Is that something that factors in when you're doing this?
It's something that maybe should factor in, but I haven't thought of that before. I try to not make it about that because if you're not, you have to feel passionate about it yourself or you're not going to want to work on it. So if you start to make it about what other people might like or what other people want or what attracts other people, you'll find how quickly the passion goes away. Because now it's a job. Now it's not, whatever obscure thing that you want to create.
Okay, and see that was my point to it, is the fact that when you're going to do something like this, and I mean you could talk to comic writers, artists, any kind of creative, I think, has points where they have this at least cross their mind to a degree. Because when you are creative, I think it initially starts purely out of a passion for doing whatever that is. You know what I mean? But there comes to a point where it's like, okay, well, do I want to make this something that I can really fully, like, this is what I do, and this is what I do. So you have to weigh the fact of being able to keep it your passion, but at the same time putting things in that perhaps you do, perhaps you don't want to. I mean, it could vary either way. It might be the fact that you're like, oh, well, this can totally work because I like all this stuff and it's stuff that would work, But at the same time, there could be times where it's like, that's really popular. And I know if I throw that in, it would get me more attention, but I don't give up about any of that. You know what I mean? So I think that's a point that people, like I said, all creatives reach.
For sure.
It makes me curious. So you've never had that moment, and now you're like,
actually, no, that's not true. I've done Star Wars crossovers.
Are you saying you don't like Star Wars?
I don't love it.
I don't care.
But for Star Wars Day, I did 2 years in a row. I've done like a Darth Vader Harley crossover with pink and blue buns for Leia last year. Yes, that was last year was Leia Harley, and the year before that was like kind of a Darth Harley.
Okay, can I just, because I think it would be hilarious. You do not have to do this because it would take so much effort. But a Harley maul, right? Because Harley loves to maul, and you could make a double-ended mallet, and I think that would be freaking hilarious. And that's the only reason I say it is so you can have a mallet that it was double-sided. mallet on either side.
That is a great idea.
And that just personally amuses me. And I love Ray Park. He was a great guy when I met him.
That's a great idea. I will definitely keep that one in mind.
I'm just giving here. The only reason I brought you on the show, Harlan, is to get you to dress up as things that are in my head. All right. We're going to
All
Harley
right,
Quinn.
Snorlax is coming up.
Oh, that one. Firstly, that was. I mean, that would be. Now you got me just kind of wanting to see that because I don't know. A snore. Like, what are you just gonna be laying around in a Harley Quinn costume, sleeping all the time?
Yes, and then getting up to have some. What are the berries?
and then
Certain kind of berry. Snorberry.
And then just destroy something and go back to sleep.
Yes.
I don't think they would want you at the convention if that's what you were doing, Harlan. I'm just saying.
Probably not. There wouldn't be space for anyone else.
Have to get the pokey flute to wake you up. I'm such a nerd.
Oh my god. That's freaking terrible. All right. Now, I'm curious though, when you do a panel for this, because you got a panel coming up at TriCon.
Yes.
Like, what is a cosplay panel entail? I'm curious because that's not. I haven't actually went to a panel at a convention in. Oh my god, I'm not gonna say how long. It's been way too long since I've been to a panel. I need to, but I digress. Right. So, what does a cosplay panel entail, though?
Well, it can be. Excuse me. It can be anything to do with cosplay or under the cosplay umbrella. So for me, I'm talking about mine is leveling up the link between gaming, cosplay, and mental health. For some people, there may be 3 people talking about getting into cosplay, how to build with different materials in cosplay. So it's always something very different. A lot of them I find they're based on cosplay builds, how to get started, how to make something. Some of them are for advanced people. At YetiCon a couple of years ago in Blue Mountain, there was guests that came from like other countries like Switzerland because they're masters to talk about nothing to do with the beginning. It's like once you are film quality, where do you go from there? So there's always something for everyone. I think that panels are interesting because it's common interest and it gives us all something that we're interested in to make it inspiring still, to find out where do I grow from here.
Well, then let's say there's someone out there, someone that maybe is at a panel or someone that perhaps is watching this particular quest right now. And they go, man, I really like XYZ character and I really want to cosplay. Blah, blah, blah. What would be your first piece of advice for that individual if that's what they wanted to do?
Are they new to cosplay?
Yeah, they've never done it before. They just really love this character and they've looked around and seen a bunch of cosplayers and went, "Oh, that looks really cool. I want to do it."
Depends. Is it a build or is it like more like clothing? Because say somebody, they really want to be, Link or something like that, then they could, do some thrifting, get some brown pants, that type of thing. If they really want to be a transformer, then there's different ways to do it. Is it transformer on a budget where you're going to go get some cardboard boxes, spray paint them, put some varnish on them? Or do they want to be movie quality transformer? Then you get into foam building. Then you would maybe, before purchasing tools and a bunch of foam and watching 50,000 YouTubes, you might want to try a makerspace. A makerspace was how I learned about foam smithing, when you can go to, like for here, Mischief Makers is a great makerspace. You go and everything's there. So they have your patterns, they have your foam materials, they have all your tools and all your sanders, and you do a piece with them. So you would take a workshop and now you're learning about it. And I think that that's just really a great way to be able to get started. Then you're like, I like this. I'm going to purchase a sander. I'm going to purchase a heat gun, or I hate this. Get me out of here. And it's makerspaces are an amazing way to sample that.
So it would just be based on what they picked. Okay, I was curious if you were going to say that because I mean that very much is the case. You know, if you pick, like you said, if you pick something like Link or Beetlejuice or something like that, it's not. You know, but if you go and say, you know, I want to be Juggernaut or a Transformer, then yeah, it's very much a different level of what you have to do to achieve that. Yeah, yeah, very very much so. So, all right. All right, fair enough. You gave the answer that I was kind of expecting, to be real honest. Um, is there something, if somebody wanted to do that and say they decided that like, oh my god, I don't want to build this, but I still want to do this, and it was a character that you know you had to build some stuff for, what would you tell them then?
There's some amazing and really high quality cosplays that you can purchase on Etsy from different artisans, and it's always nice to be able to support artists. And I truly believe that that's a wonderful way for cosplay artists to thrive. So you make your creations, sell them on Etsy, sell them on Marketplace, whatever it is that you do, and then people can buy these amazing creations of completely foam built or completely chain mailed outfit. You'll pay for what the artist feels that it's worth, and then be able to have that and not have to have built it. And there's value in that too, because now you're happy in your cosplay and you supported an artist.
Do you think AI will ever affect cosplay?
Absolutely not, because cosplay is an art, and cosplayers are artists who support other artists, and AI does not.
Well, that's what I mean, because clearly it's that's what I think is that I honestly just kind of dawned upon me right now is the fact that in the entertainment industry, like AI is affecting everything. It is music, television, comics. It's affecting more than it. And I love that thing that you had. Was it Danny, right? Danny sent to you, Chrissy, in the chat. The
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
remind me what that said again.
It looks like the Comics Code Authority symbol, but it's about art by humans for humans.
I swear, if I didn't have one that looked like the Comic Code Authority that says Comic Questing Authority already, I would start using that. But we already have our own and have since the show started over here that says Comic Questing Authority, and I highly approve of that. But I also highly approve of that particular take on that because art by humans for humans, I agree. Because but you specifically, Harlan, are in an aspect of the entertainment that I don't think AI could get its way into unless we start building robots. And if the robots start doing cosplay, I think I'm gonna check out and just like go live in a cave somewhere and call it a day. You know,
I'm
like
gonna disagree with her. I'm gonna disagree with her on AI getting into cosplay because it is already being a big problem with fake images of cosplays and
I was thinking that with photography.
yes, and then you're going to have people who are going to be stealing patterns with AI. There's going to be like all these 3D prints being made with AI, and it's going to start flooding the props market.
What she said.
why y'all gotta like make it all pessimistic and such. I was trying to be positive, and y'all got to be like, well, actually, really thinking about it, no, AI is gonna get and ruin this too, and just I'm so sick of AI. Yeah.
Same.
Art by humans for humans, y'all, because art by robots isn't for humans. It's for corporations. And yeah, that's the end of that. You know what I mean? And somebody give me Acme versus Coyote right now, please. Like somebody go leak it somewhere so I can sit down and watch it with my son, and I don't care about their tax write off, right? I really, really don't. I'm curious in that though. With you doing what you're doing within this, do you write this stuff off on your taxes? Because you couldn't you?
I hadn't really thought of it.
Hey, man.
Well, your business, and that's a business. You have business expenses like your travel and your materials to make what you make. That can all be written off.
You got it. You got to
Thank
think.
you.
Yeah, you got to think deep on it, Harlan. Like for real, because if yes, and so like Chrissy just said, I mean, if you're taking into account your travel, your gas, and all of that, because it is something that you're doing and going out as a profession, going to cons and attending them like that. In that, I would think all the materials that you use to make all your costumes would also be, you would be able to write them off. Now, I mean, if you're just going, for everybody out there, I say this if you're going to cons on a professional level as a cosplayer and you've been hired to go there. Now, if you're just going to the convention dressed up, firstly, do it. More power to you. I'm all about it, man. Go and do you all day, every day, right? But if you're getting it to where you're doing it at a professional level like that, remember, write that crap off on your taxes, man. Stick it to the man any way you can, and that's all I'm gonna say, right? Because why not, right? Right? But at the same time, man, if you just want to do it, just do it. Just do it, right? This ain't, and Nike is not a sponsor. Something's wrong with me, Harlan, if you ain't figured that out yet. Yeah. I can't help it. I can't help it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always ask on these questionnaires, man. For everybody who wants to check too, you can check out the questionnaires on the pre-show or over on the Patreon. You can check out everybody's questionnaires. I really need to get that up to date. I'll be getting that up to date soon because we're actually going to be taking a break between season 2 and season 3, and the Patreon during that time is going to get severely updated with a bunch of things. So all the questionnaires that I make all these people fill out, they come onto the show because it's the questionnaire. You got to fill out a questionnaire. Will be available on the Patreon. All you got to do is be a member, right? But the last question will forever be, because the questionnaires have changed a lot over time, but will always be, what 3 things do you want to cover most? And the last thing you put was not always cosplaying different iterations of Harley Quinn.
I think we covered that earlier.
Okay,
with
so
introducing Princess Peach and stuff like that.
I just wanted to make sure I hadn't misinterpreted that in some capacity, right? Are there any other ones that you look at and that you go, ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that. Like why haven't you done Poison Ivy? I'll be real honest. I'm kind of surprised that that's not something that you're really thinking of based on what you said about your love of the comic. And I feel like you could pull off Poison Ivy really well, Harlan, if I'm going to be real honest.
To be honest, I don't really enjoy wearing wigs, especially to cons. This is my real hair, and I try to pick ones where I don't have to wear wigs.
That makes a lot of sense. They're hot and itchy.
But couldn't you just use that temporary green spray and paint? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, couldn't you just put that in your hair and make your hair green for a day?
He has red hair, not green.
Yeah, and when you spray that in, it doesn't always come out. Because I do dip my ends sometimes, and I do spray sometimes the pink and blue pigtails, and then the blue washes out immediately, and then I've got one slightly pink side of my hair for 3 weeks. So I don't want to make the whole thing red.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, you can't. So, and somebody's really mad at me.
Green has been in my hair since it's been in here for a year.
Sometimes you have to cut it out.
I'm just gonna blame.
Oh no, I like it. I'm gonna re-dye it green because that.
I'm just blaming Chrissy for the fact that I said Poison Ivy's hair was green because her hair is green, and that's all I'm saying.
Oops.
Yeah, I didn't. Like I said, I was always more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. Clearly, because I don't know what color Poison Ivy's freaking hair is. Somebody just got really mad at me. I don't know who, but somebody's like, I can't believe you don't know that. And I'm like, you expect me? If anybody remembers every comic book fact about all characters, I'm going to tell you, your name's Tom Brevoort. And that's what's up, right? I don't know how, yeah. Have you ever had anybody come up to you when you're cosplaying and be like, that's not right, Harley wouldn't do that?
No.
Okay. How long have you been cosplaying as Harley now?
I've only been cosplaying seriously since the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good longer than I care to admit at this point. Yeah. That's nice to know you've never done that, though, because I know sometimes fan bases can be very much, you know, like they wouldn't do that.
Toxic.
I'm trying to be friendly over here. You know, they'll say that, you know, such and such wouldn't do that. I'm kind of surprised. Have you ever heard of a cosplayer running into that issue?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
For sure.
story?
There are people, I don't know, there's people that are fans that walk by and say things like that to people, but all those things have to be just, you know, water under the bridge, things that roll off people's backs. You're always going to get people who say you don't look like that character or something. But again, that's the beauty of cosplay. All body types, it's genderless, it's whatever you want it to be, and you just keep having to bring it back to that. And I don't really like people trying to be so movie accurate anyways. I think that you should make it your own. I like it if somebody looks at me and goes, okay, well, that's her version of that Harley, because to me that makes it more of an art form. But, you know, big shout out to people who do try to go movie accurate. It's you know, to each your own.
No, and I fully agree. I hear a dog whining.
Yes, you do. And my phone is at 10%.
Oh, see.
I'll wave my arm so you know where to edit.
First, can we? Is the dog small enough you can pick it up?
I don't want to pick her up and bring her in.
Oh, it's okay. We like
No,
dogs.
she's gonna pee.
Oh, well, we don't. The quest has been phenomenal, Harlan. I don't want you getting peed on at the end of it.
She wants to go out.
Yeah, okay. So, with that in mind, man, Harlan's got to let her dog out, right? I hope everybody over there, everybody watching has enjoyed the quest, right? Everybody, like I said, there's links in the description. You can go bug Harlan, bug her about, like, dressing up as Harley Quinn and whoever else you want, you know, tell her to, like, mesh this character with that character, this character, or buy some pictures, you know? Or maybe buy a t-shirt. She's got some crazy ones. And yeah, for real, cosplay is not consent. Like, hell's wrong with y'all, man? But beyond that, right? If y'all have enjoyed this quest, what I want you to do, right, is I want you to go and I want you to just send every post-apocalyptic film, right to Harlan, yeah, via
Don't
the
send them to
Loch
me.
via
I
the
don't like
Loch, via the Loch Ness monster, right. And with that, I want that Loch Ness monster to have a bunch of different white chocolate candies, right? And I just want them to chill out, sit down, and be like, look, take your dog out so we can sit and eat all this candy and watch these films, right? And yeah, I don't know why the Loch Ness monster speaks English, but he does. All right, don't worry about it. All right, now.
Sounds like an excellent plan.
Yeah, you know, now if for some reason you haven't enjoyed this quest, man.
Why'd you watch it for so long?
Yeah, for real, Mask. Every time. Just what Chrissy said. Like, why are you here? What are you doing? Don't you got something better to do? Go build cosplay, right? As opposed to watching like an hour and a half and just hate watching. Like go build cosplay. Go read a book. Go like something. Look, I'm not down for hate watching. But if you did, and Harlan for some reason has just annoyed the right crap out of you, right? All right. What I want you to do is I want you to give her the ability to read minds, because she says she wants that ability, but no one really wants that ability. I don't think people realize how terrible it would be to be a telepath in our society.
Watch Psyche K.
It would not be fun at all, right? But with that, for some reason, every time she reads somebody's mind, she just has to smell the scent of duck, right? Let's just make it a hair bit worse, right? So a telepath, or lamb. I didn't look, my bad. Thank you for the correction, though. You can go check out all the questionnaire over at the Patreon. Like I said, all you got to do is be a member, right? So make her a telepath that just every time she uses her power, smells lambs. Besides that, we've edited this awesome commercial together, y'all.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
I'm printing your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right, it's probably actually right here. Right, it's right under your chin.
It says Quest24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a Weebin discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
20. 20%.
All right. So now we're back after I clicked that and I clicked that and I did that and whatever, you know. I'm going to I need an editor for anybody out there that loves comics and wants to like really help really just do some craziness over here on the questionnaire. And if you know how to video edit, hit me up. I'm just going to say, like, you can hit me up in all kinds of places. It's real easy. But besides that, like I said, there's just 3 things I want you to do. 1, give it that thumbs up. 2, always get your comic on. And 3, have a good night, y'all.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.